The Atlanta Braves get a lot of hype. They get a lot of credit. But to be honest, recently they're not actually batting very well. I have the Nationals actually ranked higher than the Braves in hitting. I have them both pretty much neck and neck, though. I have them both ranked right around 14 out of 30. Atlanta just lost Acuna, and their guys who have been performing for them in past seasons are not performing anymore. So surprisingly, everyone thinks the Nationals are a horrible team. Actually, not that horrible. So, like I said, I have them tied with Atlanta at 14 in hitting. I have them just slightly above Atlanta. Bullpens, I have the Atlanta bullpen 13, and I have Washington's bullpen at 16. So that's comparable difference. The big difference here is we got Trevor Williams going against Ray Kerr. Ray Kerr, not a lot of info on him and not a lot of experience in Major League Baseball, but Trevor Williams has been incredible. He's 4-0 with a 2.29 ERA. Yes, the Washington Nationals are not in first place. They're not a great team by any means, but even the worst teams in Major League Baseball can win 30% of their games. And I think the Washington Nationals will win closer to 50% of their games this season. If they're going to upset the Braves, it's going to be this game. I wouldn't bet the farm on it, but I am going to put a small bet on the Nationals to win this game. I don't like to do plus 1.5 runs because only about 3% of all games end in a 1-run difference. So if you're going to take an underdog, I like to take them straight up. Washington plus 203. Great numbers for Trevor Williams. So I'm going to take the Washington Nationals on a small bet to upset the Atlanta Braves today. All right, so my best bet for today is going to be the Tigers at the Red Sox. But before I get into that, everyone, please take a minute to like and subscribe the channel. All of us cappers, we work hard to bring you some winners. All we ask is that you like and subscribe to the channel, so give the channel a like and subscribe. Today, I have a feature play in MLB. I'm the #1 MLB profit capper at WagerTalk in 2024. I'm plus 130 units. That means I've doubled my client's bankroll since the beginning of the MLB season. So grab my MLB feature play at buzz/TB, or just find Tokyo Brandon under experts at wagertalk.com. I also have a free play loaded, but here is a best bet for this show. So the Tigers go to the Red Sox. The Tigers get slighted big time by the books. And when we're betting baseball, what we're trying to do is find discrepancies between what we think is going to happen and the numbers that the books offer. So today the Red Sox are a huge favorite, but I don't know why. I think the wrong team's favored here. I went to DraftKings and I found that in the first 5, and the reason I'm going to look at first 5 is basically when I break the numbers down, I have the Tigers ranked 5th in batting out of 30 teams, and I have the Red Sox ranked 11th. So the Tigers are hitting better than the Red Sox in the last 10 days. The problem with the Tigers is their bullpen is horrible. They rank 26 out of 30. And starting pitchers, I have Jack Flaherty number 10 out of a curve rank of 30, and I have Pivetta ranked 17. So big advantage for the Tigers except in the bullpen area. So I'm going to look at the first 5. But when you go to DraftKings, you can get a half run at minus 140 for the Tigers. So that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to take a plus 0.5 runs in the first 5, and I'm going to take the Tigers. That's a 2% client play that I gave to my clients earlier. I'm the #1 MLB capper in 2024, plus 130 units in baseball alone. So I'm a pretty good guy to roll with. But I do like the Tigers here. I'm going to ride Jack Flaherty, but take the half run. I don't know why the Tigers are getting this slighted. The Red Sox are only 28-28. They're a 50-50 team, and the Tigers are 27-28. So record-wise, they're pretty equal. But in the last 10 days, the Tigers are a far superior team than the Red Sox. So roll with the Tigers and take the half run in the first 5 innings. Hit that like and subscribe. That's my best bet for the show. And thanks for watching, everyone.
Hey guys, Adam Sugar here, WagerTalk.com. It is Thursday. We're talking Major League Baseball, but first give us a like, subscribe, follow our channel so we can continue to bring you Free picks all season long. Today we're going to talk about a couple of underdogs on the Thursday baseball slate. Slight underdogs, but ones that I think have a really good chance to win. Would be surprised if this did anything worse than split here. And the first game we'll go to is Diamondbacks Mets. We had a players only meeting called after the Mets lost to the Dodgers yesterday. It's always the answer, right? Like when things aren't going well, closed doors, players only meeting. I don't know what kind of stock I really put into that, working, having an immediate impact, but they certainly are addressing the fact that things are not good in the Big Apple right now in Queens for the Mets. They've lost 8 of 9. Yesterday's loss was, the final in a 3-game sweep by the Dodgers. The Mets are now 7-19 in May, which is the worst record in Major League Baseball. And to add insult to injury a little bit, you've got the Jorge Lopez incident that's made its rounds on social media. Everyone's kind of seen that at this point. Pete Alonso left the game. Not sure if he'll be in the lineup tonight. Edwin Diaz heads to the IL. So it's like, the Mets couldn't get any worse for them right now. And I think they're priced accordingly as an underdog here. Now, what I think is getting lost in the shuffle a little bit with the narrative surrounding this game, maybe this line here for the Mets at home, is Arizona struggling too. Maybe just as bad, if we're looking at short samples recently, last week or so, the Diamondbacks have been arguably as bad, in terms of production. They've lost 3 straight. Arizona's lost 4 of 5, some really awful performances against the Marlins. So, this is another team that's not hitting, that's not playing great baseball and now is being asked, to hit the road and try to fix it here. Zach Gallen is someone we've talked about a ton on this show. Feel like every time I'm on first pitch, he's pitching. And something I've stressed with him is the home road splits. And, last time out, he pitched well at home. It was a loss because they couldn't hit Braxton Garrett. Just a terrible performance for the Diamondbacks against the Marlins in that game. But Gallen has fantastic numbers at home. When he goes on the road, he's far more average of a pitcher. And so I always kind of look to fade him on the road, especially off of a stretch like this where he's had a couple of good starts. So his numbers coming into today are decent, but a lot of that was generated from pitching at home. And now he's going to have to turn around and hit the road here in a spot where, again, the Diamondbacks need a win, but the Mets really need one as well. And one bright spot for this Mets team has been Christian Scott. This is a guy that I got to watch up here in Syracuse pitch a couple of times. He kind of came out of nowhere in terms of like a big league ready prospect for 2024. I know going into the year and kind of knowing the ins and outs of the Syracuse roster, which is our local team, this wasn't expected from him. He wasn't expected to be up in the big leagues and pitching the way he is this year, but he made a huge strides in the offseason. You could tell right from those first couple AAA starts that his stuff was electric. And his only real sort of knock on him, in my opinion, getting to watch him from, even in the AAA games, in the big league games, is he gives up the long ball, but Arizona's been ice cold offensively. They haven't homered in 5 games, 7 runs over the last 5 games. So they've arguably been worse than the Mets from an offensive standpoint. And, if he can avoid, giving up the home run, I think he's got a chance to have a great start here. This is only his 5th big league start. 3 of his first 4 major league starts have been quality starts. Like you don't always see runs like that from established pitchers at this point, which is 6 innings or more, 3 runs or less. So, aside from, I think it was the start down in South Beach against the Marlins, which I know he's from that area, had a bunch of family and friends, could have been a little bit of a nerves thing for him. He's been absolutely fantastic. 3.97 ERA, 1.10 whip across those 4 starts for Christian Scott. The Mets, it's the biggest sort of surprise and what I can't really put my finger on is how bad their bullpen has been, because individually there's a lot of good relief pitchers on this staff. I know I talked about they won't be, they'll be without Diaz, but they have a much better bullpen than has shown up so far in the month of May. So going forward, I still give them the bullpen edge over Arizona for that reason. I think they will probably they will probably figure that out before anything, because there are quality relievers on that roster. Again, this probably won't make a client card for me just based on the fact that it's not a game we're forced to bet. But if I'm getting involved tonight in Mets Diamondbacks, I'm looking for some way to back Christian Scott. And I do think the wrong team is favored. So lean here for me is Mets plus 105. This is maybe the players only meeting works, and they kind of snap out of it and start a little run here. But I do like the Mets given the price and in the spot at home. All right, next underdog we're going to talk about is the Cubs. Brewers. This is a day game on Thursday, and got to give my guy Dave Koken a shout out. A couple years ago, he did this, I think, twice, where he found a spot where he wanted to jump in with a team, and he just kind of blindly bet them until they lost. And I think or they lost more than one in a row. And I think he nailed like 9 of 11 with the Phillies after they changed managers with Joe Girardi, and he did it later again in the same season with the Angels. And the reason I bring that up is because I'd like to do something similar with this Cubs team. I've been looking for the spot to jump in. I think it might be here, and we're going to talk about why. But the reason I kind of bring that up is this team has been collectively ice cold all at once. They've been one of the worst offensive teams in Major League Baseball the past 3 weeks, really going on a month now. And I just know they're not the worst offensive team in Major League Baseball. It reminds me a lot of what the Cardinals have done recently, where they kind of went through April collectively ice cold, kind of all heated up at the same time. And suddenly the Cardinals are winning games and, erased a pretty big, number in the loss column to get back to 500. The Cubs just dipped to 500 for the first time since April 1st by losing 11 of their last 15. And it's been on the offense. They just have not hit during that stretch. But kind of, looking for the buy sign when to jump in with this team. They managed 6 runs on 9 hits last night. I think that was kind of an anomaly that Imanaga got blown up. He was kind of due for a bad start. He entered play yesterday with an ERA and WHIP both under 1, which is ridiculous. So, he was going to have a bad one at some point, and it happened to be last night. 2 nights ago, the Cubs won. They got a little help with extra innings, but still another 6 runs on 9 hits in a winning effort. And so who knows? Maybe that's the sign where, the Cubs are finally starting to score a little bit and they potentially turn the corner. And that's what I'm kind of looking for because, when that happens, I do think the Cubs are gonna win a number of games in a row. And, if they can get a win here, their schedule would set up for them to do that because they go home for a series with the Reds. They have the White Sox coming in. They go back to the Reds, go on the road to the Rays, and then a home series against the Cardinals, Giants, and Mets. That's a very manageable schedule coming up for them. So I think it could be the perfect time really to kind of just, buy on them from a long-term perspective and play them day in and day out. Now, this series has been very even. Even with the loss last night for the Cubs, the season series is 3-3. Brewers have scored 26 runs to the Cubs 25. And the starting pitching matchup here is very even as well. Jameson Taillon's not a guy I'm very high on. He's not the one in this rotation that I'm really looking to back. He's gotten, opponents over his last 3 starts hitting 349 against him. That's certainly a concern to me. But it's offset a little bit here by the fact that I'm even more willing to play against Colin Ria from the Brewers. And he's someone that keeps coming up when I'm on these shows. Talked about this a bunch. Had a nice winner by fading him 2 weeks ago with the Astros. That was in a stretch where he kind of got blown up a little bit. I think the Royals hit him hard. The Astros hit him hard in that stretch. 37 strikeouts and 54.1 innings pitched. He doesn't really throw the ball by hitters very often, and he's giving up quite a bit of hard contact. So he's someone that even more so than Taillon I've had circled to play against. Maybe that leads you to the over 8.5. That seems to be probably a decent bet here as well because I can't see either pitcher just being lights out. Ria was good last week against the Red Sox. I think, the opener situation maybe helped him out a little bit. They brought in Koenig for the first inning and then Ria kind of piggybacked and pitched well. But again, I'm still, willing to play against him, especially with a team like the Cubs that have seen him a little bit over the course of the last couple seasons. That familiarity and the fact that he doesn't really, throw the ball by guys very often makes me think that their offense can continue to hit here against Rios. So it'd be a scenario where we're going to need more out of the Cubs offense than, of course, the Brewers can get off Taillon. But again, if anything, that pitching matchup is even. And I think you're going to see the Cubs, really go for it in this game, not wanting to fall below 500 for the first time essentially since the very beginning of the season, which means, their top bullpen guys kind of coming in and, piggybacking after Tyone, which they were able to avoid using last night in what turned into kind of a blowout loss. So again, with these two pitchers, I still think the Cubs are long-term the better of these two teams. I think you'll start to see that when they start to hit. And so the fact that you can get plus 110, plus 105, plus 110 here for the Cubs against Rhea, a guy I've wanted to fade, is definitely intriguing to me. So Cubs plus 105 is a very strong lean here. If that becomes a client play, I will post it to my Twitter, which you should be following me on at TopFlightSI. But for the show, my best bet will be Cubs plus 105. Again, subscribe to the channel, and head on over to WagerTalk.com, my page, WT.buzz/AT. There's still 2 more days to take advantage of the summer celebration special. I believe it goes through Labor Day, and if you use it for me, you're going to get Major League Baseball, KBO. I do WNBA. I'm pretty active over the summer, 3 different sports. So check that out. And then preseason football around the corner, something I've done well in over the years that's completely covered under that package. So summer celebrations special up on my page. Like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a great day.